Hey, everybody, welcome to day 29 of the podcast. And I have something to make you think. We often talk about how old Trump is and how he shouldn't be president because he's old. Okay. We know that there's like a million other reasons why he shouldn't be president. But if we just talk about his age and how many times a day, like he's sundowning, he's got so many aging problems. But did you realize that Donald Trump is also too young to be president? Ah, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I went and did the work. I went and figured out how mature is this man? And I have bad news for you. Now, I don't know about you, but I spend way too much time yelling at screens that Donald Trump needs to grow up, be a man, stop acting like a little pussy ass me. He needs to. I also yell at Elon because I just cannot believe that Tucker Elon interview where they sat around like pubescent boys giggling about assassinating Kamala Harris. I don't even know why that has airwaves. I don't understand. I will never understand. But here we are. So we have these man children, but prove it, you say to me. Jen, that's easy to say. It's easy to throw down something like a name calling. You talk about name calling all the time, Jen. You don't like it. You're right. I don't like it. But sometimes a child needs to be noticed for being a child. And I'm going to tell you just exactly how young this man is. He may be the oldest candidate for president who's constantly sundowning, brain fading, but he's also having tantrums like a 4-year-old. This man isn't a man. He's a child. So I have 28 things. I have 4 lists, 28 things on those lists that'll demonstrate that this man is not mature enough, is not grown up enough, has not reached the mental capacity to be mature enough to lead this country, even though he did it once. And we all have evidence that he wasn't, because he threw paper towels at people that were clamoring for food. And he held a press conference after Helene in front of a fake brick podium. Like, who wants that's Legos, guys, just like Legos. You just want something built. Build me a pretty stand so I can stand behind a pretty wall. Like, it is so pathological. So here we go. Let's start at the beginning, right? We want to start with the youngest of the behaviors. So let me share with you these adorable toddler behaviors. Throwing tantrums when faced with opposition or setbacks. Trump's emotional outbursts resemble a toddler's response when they don't get their way. Case in point, any tweet he's ever sent, any truth social, whatever those things are called, truths or truthiness or just bleh. All right, so throwing tantrums. This is toddler behavior, guys. Impulsive reactions. Reacting immediately and emotionally to situations without careful thought is a common toddler trait of acting impulsively. Refusing to follow rules. He doesn't pay bills. He will not pay the bills of places he's been. The rule was you do not shoot a commercial at Arlington Cemetery. The rule is we don't want you to spread lies about FEMA. He doesn't follow any rules, but he does it like a baby, like a toddler, frequently testing boundaries and resisting rules. Now, the problem is with this refusing to follow rules is that nobody spanked this son of a gun. And I don't really believe in spanking kids, but sometimes when they're adults and they misbehave, they absolutely need a spanking. And I don't mean the Stormy Daniels kind. I mean the kind where you sit in the corner and think about what you've done. Toddler behavior, name calling, using simple insults mirrors a toddler's way of handling conflict. You are a pooping girl. Your Kamala Harris is just dumb. She's so dumb. Oh my God. They said his language is now 4th grade. Well, he's rapidly devolving, people. It didn't used to be that high to begin with. He was maybe 8th grade speaker, but now he's using language. When we talk about grade language of language, there's grade level. There's a thing called a flesh test, a flesh reading test. And they learn about it in the worlds where I hang out. For marketing, we need to know about it because often we have to make sure that we don't write. Like, even when I worked in cybersecurity, my job was to take cybersecurity, which might test out at 12th to 16th grade. If you look at what the engineers give me, it's ridiculous. So my job is to take it from 12th to 16th grade and turn it into, I generally go for about 10 to 12th grade. Maybe I'll go down to 8th grade if I'm trying to reach, if this is going to sound terrible, if I'm trying to reach executives, I will often go even more simple because they have a low tolerance for learning. They just have a low tolerance for learning. There are exceptions, of course, but in my experience, a lot of executives have a really low tolerance for learning. Don't get confused. I don't mean that they don't read Harvard Business Review and throw it on your desk and say, why aren't we doing this? That's different. They didn't really read it. If they'd really read it, they wouldn't throw it on your desk and say, why aren't we doing this? But okay. Then we have the fear of vulnerability. Toddlers often act tough or put on a brave face to hide their insecurity. And we know who's really insecure right now. Man who's going to go to prison is who's really insecure. Similar to Trump's reluctance to show weakness. He's never responsible for his behavior, right? I don't even know if that comes up in here, but you're not responsible as a toddler. Toddler's not really where you start to take responsibility for actions. As a toddler, you are a poo-flinging, opinionated, learning about everything kind of kid, and you're not expected to have wisdom yet. You are just basically learning where the boundaries are, right? So throwing objects is very toddler-like. We know that Trump threw ketchup. I just can't. That is, every adult's had moments where we've thrown something, typically not at work. Typically, very, very typically not at work. If you've done it at work, you need to go. You are a toxic work member. And then demanding loyalty over performance. Toddlers want people on their side without understanding the value of collaboration or merit. So often why it's called parallel play for toddlers, and then they begin to have some interactive play, but they don't do really good. They're more like a pack of dogs where they want to fight over territory. That's kind of how toddlers work. That's why we have early childhood education to help them learn how to resolve those issues, how to, share. Sharing is a big word for toddlers. I feel like that lady was like, okay, friend, when she used to do those great videos where she would just explain how things work at a toddler level. And that's what we've got going on here. So there's your toddler. But wait, there's more. Okay, so this is in the ages of 0 to about 4. And 4-year-olds do this thing. If you haven't raised a child, you'll learn this. Your friends who have raised children will tell you. At about 4 years old, there's like this weird, that's my time warp sound, sweep that happens in their brain. And they may have some memories from before 4, but you will sadly find out the work that you did up to 4 years old was very good work. And you gave them memories and you took that was all good. That was not wasted. But they don't really remember much of it. But what they remember is they trust you and that they will go with you again and that you are somebody who is super important to them. So just don't freak out. I don't want to freak anybody out. But as you get into 4 to 7, that's when the memories start to get written. And what you'll see here is kids are working out who they are, how to separate, not quite separate from parents, but how to see themselves as in relation to their parents. So it's not really, it's an extension of their parents. It's not really separation yet. That comes more as the tweens hit. But in this case, the early childhood behaviors are self-confidence, independent, little tiny bit of independence, those kind of things. So here's what we get from our post-toddler going into this is like first, second, third grade kids, right? Second grade, it's 4 to 7, pre-KK to second grade, 7th grade, 7 years old is usually end of second grade. Just so you can kind of know what kind of age kids we're talking about. Trump has a need for constant attention, which is like young children who often say, look at me, always needing attention and validation. A simplistic moral view, young kids see things as black and white. That's really important for them. Bad, good, hot, cold, go, no, check both ways. Like it's just very black and white, right? Trump frames situations as purely good or bad. He does this total simplistic morality, which is so annoying because he'll use it to justify horrendous things, and it's just not how the world works. It's extremely, extremely immature thinking. Desire for praise and validation. Early childhood needs a lot of praise from authority figures, and Trump seeks this, but he seeks it from men like Orban or Putin. This whole thing with these COVID machines, just if you haven't caught up with the story yet, you need to. These are not COVID tests in a box. You might shrug this off and say this is no big deal. These were COVID machines. These were computers. That's a better way to say it. COVID computers. These computers were in very, very desperate supply. We only had some of them. We didn't have a lot of these computers. They were the things that were used at hospitals and stuff to do massive testing. They were at scale, right? They give us some kind of scale. This is what Trump secretly, and I'm going to use this word secretly, like, I don't know, in fake italics, because Trump secretly sent these machines to Putin, and the Kremlin's already confirmed this. So whatever, you can believe it or not, but welcome to Earth. And in Earth, as Nicole says, here on Earth 1, those machines were taken away from Americans and sent. I truly believe was done for praise and validation. Trump is so weak, so incredibly weak that he needs these people to like him. But here's my question I have for you on those machines. This driving me crazy. Trump can't do anything by himself. Other than throw the ketchup or turn on the TV. That's all he can do by himself. He's just an incompetent boob. I don't think he cooks his own meals. I don't even know if he knows how to make a sandwich, to be perfectly honest. But somebody, a bunch of people actually in the White House went along with sending Putin the machines. So we have a conspiracy here to work against the American public, to work against our interests. And that, I'm going to set that to the side, but that's a big deal. That's a big deal because many people went along to make that happen. So his desire for praise and validation are extremely dangerous because he will do, and remember, Trump is all transactions. I'm going to do this for you. What are you doing for me? So the other question you need to ask yourself is, what did Trump get in exchange for those COVID machines? What did he get? It's not going to be about you. So don't think about he got something for us. What did Trump get out of that? As a youngster, Trump also oversimplifies complex issues. He likes young kids, like little kids, he likes to reduce matters to simple terms. So like, the windmills are killing the birds and the electric batteries are chumming the sharks. He doesn't have any sense of what is real, and he oversimplifies and simplifies complex issues. The one I love, and I've already mentioned it before, but the woman who said that the immigrants are going to move into my house, and she looked dumbfoundedly at the interviewer and said, I don't know how it's going to happen, and I don't know how long they're going to stay, but Trump has said that immigrants are going to move into my house. If that's not oversimplification of a complex issue, I don't know what is. It's not going to happen. You don't have to worry about it. I'm sorry you're scared. You shouldn't be scared. Holy smokes. Exaggerating and boasting. If you have not met, there was just a tweet about this where a little kid walked up to a guy and said, my dad's truck is bigger, and I bet he could beat you in a race. That is a 5-year-old. That is so classic. And the man's just standing there going want to bet? No, you don't take the challenge from a 5-year-old. You just say, all right, and you just give him the high five, man. Just go ahead. That kid's finally learning how to express himself. You don't have to have a fight with him. There's no way you have to have a fight with him. Same with Trump. He just walks around exaggerating and boasting. I'm so great. I'm so great. Taking or hoarding resources. Oh my God, is that a Trump thing? This behavior resembles young children's tendency to hoard or take things for themselves, reflecting an immature mine-first mentality. What did he say about the stuff he stole from the U.S. government and took to Mar-a-Lago to hide in his bathroom? That's mine. That's mine. There's a character that says that all the time. I think it's on Rugrats. I think that's Dill. That's mine, Tommy. I think Dill is the one on Rugrats. Gen X, correct. Okay, and then there's exaggerated victimhood. Trump is the poster child. I feel like he's the poster child for all of these, but he is the whole Democratic Party and the whole world has been trying to witch hunt me. They just are, it's a witch hunt. I'm like, dude, it's a bitch hunt and you are the bitch. You are such a criminal and such a crimer. So his exaggerated victimhood is, besides a cliche, is extremely, extremely immature. But wait, there's more. Now we have those tweens, they come in, they're rolling into 4th grade, they're badass. They have a mouth now. Tweens, if you haven't spent time with a tween, they're known for this flash between adults, kind of adult, pretending to be an adult, and constantly turning back into a little kid. They don't want to leave childhood. Who does? I kind of would like it back sometimes, even for all its features. It was so nice to not have to be responsible. So you can be a young child and be irresponsible. That's what a tween likes. That's a safe place. But they're also learning and testing their wings, right? So with every year in these years, they're trying to be more independent. They'll do stuff like, let me stay home by myself. Can I go to the store by myself? Can I just shop the mall while you're here? That's a good one. Those kind of things where you start to let them become independent, right? It's a good thing. But here's what also tweens are known for. And let's just compare this to our dear friend, Don Old Trump. Blame shifting. As tweens, children often deflect blame to others and avoid taking responsibility. That some of that shifted early to being a younger person, right? I didn't do it. It's not mine. I'm not responsible. I don't know who messed that up. I don't know who ate it. I don't know who spilled it. I don't know who broke it. That's Trump. He never knows who did what. He never takes responsibility. A hunger for revenge. This idea of getting even is common in middle school, where children hold grudges and seek payback. Tommy stole my bike. I'm going to go get Tommy's bike and then we're going to have a fight. Classic. That's like them's the stakes in those middle years. Loyalty based on immediate benefit. These are so funny because they're so true. What did he do with that Medal of Honor? Did he not give it to this woman because she was loyal and the immediate benefit was that she gave him money, so he gave her a medal. By this age, when their loyalty is based on immediate benefit, children's friendships can be situational and based on convenience, similar to Trump's often transactional relationships. You're only good to him till you aren't. I heard Corey Lewandowski is already fired again. I barely got to podcast about him about 2 weeks ago, and he's already gone. You're only as good as long as he needs you. Look at poor Laura Loomer. That's so funny. One day she was the sliced bread at the 9/11 memorial, sitting there giving her respect to people she said are lying. She called it a hoax. She said 9/11's a hoax, but she was there with Trump. Oh, but she's gone now. That loyalty does no longer have any immediate benefit. In fact, he didn't check his math because he should have known she didn't have any benefit being at the 9/11 thing, but he was getting his dog polished. So there you have it. Focus on appearances. In middle childhood, children start caring more about how they're perceived. It's when you start buying Axe deodorant and your whole house starts to smell like Axe. Not because I raised a boy, but boy, were they here. Oh, there was a lot of smells during those teen years. Trump likes to focus on his public image all the time. His image is everything. He only focuses on appearance. Remember, central casting. He'll only bring people on out of central casting. He doesn't like her because she looks nasty. He doesn't like anybody that looks black. So there's that. Sorry, there's so many people who have been treated so badly by this man. And then seeking the win-lose outcomes over cooperation. I don't even think Trump knows there's ever a middle ground. His thing is to go all the way to the extreme, which is really immature. Kids start to grasp competition around this age, but can miss the benefits of cooperation. Trump's approach to diplomacy and negotiation sometimes mirrors this I win, you lose mentality. That's how he always wants it to be. That's his thing. That's his mantra, right? And then using shock tactics for attention. Oh my God, that is like tween gold. It's all about shock. And sometimes the shock is hilarious because they'll come lie to you and then they tell you the lie because they want you to react to the lie. And then when they tell you the truth, it's not as bad, right? We all know that old ruse. Like, oh my God, honey, I missed my period. But that's okay. I really spent $100 today. I'll be like, I'm not pregnant, but I spent $100. Like, that's immature, but those are that's what you do. You use shock tactics for attention. And like kids who use it, Trump tends to make outrageous statements to draw attention. And he has no disregard. I mean, he has no regard for the consequences, complete disregard for the consequences. So it just keeps getting better. But there's one last one. And this is the absolute teenager, adolescence. And I don't know how I got through the teenage years. They were not what I expected. They were worse. I'm finding out even more now. The kid's 25, but I'm finding out now how much worse they were. Our teens have a hard time. But how about teenage Trump? Trump has difficulty accepting criticism, and teenagers can be defensive when criticism. Trump is super defensive when he's criticized. Their teens can be stubborn and refuse to admit mistakes. Oh, that's like a core strength. Adolescents can dig in their heels. Trump does this frequently. He just says no, or he just says yes. He just doesn't care. He just acts like a willful child. He has a desire to win at all costs. I call this burning down the house before you find out the facts. I have a friend who does this. She gets so upset. She gets so spun around, and I go, stop, you're burning down the house before we got to the facts. Trump does this all the time. He burns down the house before we really know what's going on. And then you got to deal with two things, right? What's really going on, and why'd you burn down the damn house? So he has this desire to win at all costs, and it really mirrors Trump's competitive streak. I'm not sure Trump's streak is particularly competitive. I mean, it is. It's just a different competitive way than we think about being competitive. His way of competing with people is to crush them like a bug. And I think we're going to learn about how he got to that way with Roy Cohn in this movie that's coming out in a week, The Apprentice. It's going to be really interesting. But Trump's approach is never to win and to have a win-win. It's got to be to crush someone. So it's competitive, but it's punitive and sadistic as well. And so it's more than just competitive. And then he has impatience and a need for instant gratification. That's everywhere. He wants quick results. He wants a Diet Coke now. He wants them to go have a coup on the Congress. He wants Pence to do what he said. He wants them to hang Mike Pence. I mean, the idea of his need to win at all costs and to get his needs instantly gratified is part of the toxicity of his being. It just runs over everyone. He's constantly seeking approval from authority figures. I defer you to what started in Middle Ages. I mean, we talked about the behavior of the tween. It's gotten worse now as he's a full-on teenager. He is so desirous of affection. I'm not say affection, let's say attention from people he perceives as having a ton of power for whatever reason. You know, he's still talking to Bibi right now, which is screwing things up in Israel. The man is in places he should not be. He has transactional loyalty. That's common in teenagers. Teenagers base relationships on what they get in return. Unfortunately, that happens a lot as they start to experiment sexually. It becomes transactional. But Trump always has been transactional in his loyalties. If you don't bring something to him that he can use, he has no time for you. So you need to be really clear. It's extremely immature. It's not based on any kind of character, integrity, or values or words that grown-ups use. He deflects personal responsibility onto enemies every time. He is the ultimate, I am rubber and you're glue. What happens to me sticks to you. Teens can externalize responsibility by blaming haters or enemies. Trump always frames, it says frequently, but always frames crap as first name calling and then making them out to be haters or enemies. And then finally, my favorite, petty retaliation. Teenagers seek to get back at people because they feel wronged, and this aligns with Trump's tendency to retaliate against critics or rivals because he feels wrong. So in just, 20 minutes, we reviewed 28 ways that this adult human who's running for president of the United States manifests childlike behaviors, and some of the worst childlike behaviors because they are based on immaturity, lack of thinking, lack of self-awareness, lack of personal responsibility. I mean, we could go on and on. These are not things you want in a leader, ever. These are horrible things. I don't even want to talk about policies. I'm just talking about poor character. So I'm going to end this with reminding you that it's very important that you remember, because this is what's true probably about you. Self-control matters. I bet you have self-control. I bet you make decisions all the time about, I can and can't do that. I'd really like to do that, but it's not a good idea. I don't have enough money. I bet you use self-control every day because you're a good person. I bet maturity matters. As far as I'm concerned, maturity matters. And every year you live on this earth, you get smarter. If you're paying attention, you could live on this earth a lot of days and not get smarter. And I think Donald Trump's done that. Although what I worry about is Trump's just gotten craftier and more desperate. But it's interesting as we age, how we choose who we're going to be and what we hang on to as part of our core being. I mean, I'm definitely going through a life change, but I choose different things that I want to keep as mine and things I want to reject that I learned maybe working in Silicon Valley or whatever that are just not productive. So character matters a ton. And character in the old days, back in the day, I don't even know how we got so far afield of this, but character used to be how we chose people who would lead us. We may or may not have agreed with everything they thought, because you can't agree 100% with somebody. That would make you a twin. I don't know. That would make it weird. But you can agree. Like, I didn't worry about Joe Biden. Did not worry. He may do some things I don't care for, but I don't even know what those are because I haven't looked that close. Because you know why? I trust his character. I just trust his character. And I know if he has to make a tough decision, I actually understand the mental wrestling he will go through to make sure he's making a decision that's both right with his God, which is interesting because I think God does affect his decision making, but he doesn't use it in a way to legislate us. He uses it in a way for his own character and morality, which I think is really important. But also Biden he's going to make good choices. He has people I trust that he counts on. I don't trust anybody that Trump counts on. He doesn't have any good advisors. I can't find one. So that's what I want to tell you. Character matters. So I'm going to remind you that we want to vote for adults, and Harrison Walls are adults. And if you're listening to this, I know you know that, but if you had thought about it this way, please do. Please do. If you have relatives that are struggling with Trump, use some of this childhood behavior stuff to possibly help them understand where he's not going to be good in a crisis and that he's not surrounded by people he can trust. And that's the most important thing. He does not have a trustworthy cadre of advisors. He has the Heritage Foundation maniacs who are on a mission to end our republic. That's what J.D. Vance has said. That's why they're all following that weird guy that I've got to go find his name. But this is the end of the republic. That's how the Heritage Foundation, the Federal Society, J.D. Vance, and those guys see it. It's the end of the republic. So this is what it looks like in the end, guys. We've got to fight for our comeback. Let's go. Let's go. When we fight, we win.